environment or making the environment front of mind is actually the next big thing and is the next, you know, epidemic sort of thing. So it's something that we can't ignore and that we have to action and do something about now. Otherwise, yeah, it's something that is at the front and center of everyone's mind, and so it should only get easier, hopefully. And yeah, so what I've done is just jotted down a couple of little mini tips of what you could do just in recycling in general. And you know, it's not about doing everything at once because it gets so overwhelming. I got overwhelmed. It's like, where do I start? I want to do the right thing, but there's just so much to know out there. And the more I learn about recycling, the more sometimes more confused I get. But it's just starting simple, because if you can start just with one thing, that makes a huge difference. So just a couple of little tips. So start slowly. So maybe just change one thing and do that for a month, do that for 2 months, whatever it might be, and then introduce something else. Okay, so then you can continue doing that habit and then you can introduce something else. So for instance, I know for June, I've given up not buying takeaway coffee cups. So there is the biodegradable, which are generally not too bad. They I think go in the general waste. Don't quote me on that, but they go in the general waste, but they do break down. But a lot of the coffee cups that you buy have a plastic film inserted in them, which is not recyclable. So a lot of people are putting them in the recyclable bins, but they're actually not recyclable. So for June, and hopefully I'll continue that as much as I can, unless I have a keep cup, I'm not buying a takeaway coffee. Now I'm saying coffee, I actually drink chai. Coffee gives me anxiety, so I drink chai. So no takeaway chais for June. So that's just one thing that I've introduced. So paper, cardboard, firm, flexible plastic, aluminium and steel metals are all recyclable. What you could do at home is just set up some different bins as well. So I know I have my general waste, I have a bin for my recyclables, and then I also have one for the soft plastics that you can return to your supermarkets and things like that. So but when you have your recycling bin, I know I used to work for an organisation that had a recycling bin, but they put it in a plastic bag and used to throw that out. Now that all becomes that's chucked into the general waste. So if you're putting your recyclables into a bag and then chucking that into the yellow bin for safety reasons for the workers, they can't go through that plastic bag. So what happens is that's just taken straight to the trash, into the general waste. So if you do have a recycling bin, make sure that it's loose. Okay. Now I know Denise, washing out the containers before you put in the recyclables is good for smells, but you actually don't have to do it. Okay, so but I tend to do it anyway. Otherwise, you're going to get lots of stuff flying everywhere, especially if you've got like tomato sauces or something like that in your cans. And yeah, I think that's pretty much just a few little tips and tricks there. But there is a video that I want to quickly show you. They're bringing out a new label system. I'm a member of Planet Arc, and they've actually brought in this, it's called the Australasian Recycling Labels, which is going to be put on the back of packages. So you can get it gives you an understanding of what to look for and what to do with that packaging. So I've got this little video that I'll share, and it's only a minute and a half. Guys hear that?
Most Aussies and Kiwis think recycling is the right thing to do. But with so many labels out there that are often confused as recycling labels, getting recycling right can be confusing. The Australasian Recycling Label is a simple labelling system that we can trust to take the confusion out of recycling. There are 3 types of labels. The opaque recycling symbol means an item should go in your recycling bin. The transparent recycling symbol indicates conditional recyclability. This means an item can be recycled as long as you follow the instructions under the symbol. The bin symbol means the packaging can't be recycled and needs to go in the rubbish. The Australasian recycling label will give you the confidence to start recycling right. Because when we dispose of our packaging correctly, we keep contamination out of the recycling bin and make sure we do not lose valuable materials to landfill. And when we get recycling right, we help make new products out of recycled materials that are better for the environment. So check the label today to see which parts you can place in your recycling, your rubbish, or if you have to follow additional instructions. It's the right label for the right bin.
That's really good, and I think that's one of the key issues, and one of the barriers that a lot of people have when it comes to recycling is that they don't actually know and get confused over what's what. But I guess through our business in the container recycling, we get asked all the time about why are milk bottles, why are wine bottles and spirit bottles not part of the scheme. Now, as I mentioned right at the beginning, the Containers for Change scheme is not a recycling scheme. It has recycling benefits, but it's actually a litter control scheme. So basically it's for your single-use items. So you may see people walking around with drinking wine bottles and they're throwing them on the ground, but generally most people drink wine and spirits at home. They drink milk at home, and that's where you put those in your yellow top bin, because they are recyclable, but they're not part of the Containers for Change scheme. I know there is certainly work going on in the background to try and change that and make as many beverage containers eligible for the scheme, but that will take time. But yeah, it's great to have these labels and that out there that will help reduce that the confusing side of recycling. So just to get rid of those barriers that stop people from doing it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's it. Just needs to be simple, and I think having this new system is going to be great when people are aware of it. Again, it's just trying to get that across. But as you can see, basically they're going to have, or I think it has started, but you'll have the black. So that can go into your recycling bin. If it's clear, there's generally an instruction at the bottom to let you know what to do with it. So if you don't follow the instruction, it has to go in the rubbish bin. And then like with the actual rubbish bin, that goes in your general waste. So that's generally quite easy, and you'll start to recognise them as well. So for instance, with the instructions, and I'll put the link in the chat box so you've got it. But yeah, it sort of tells you what you can do and how each one has got an instruction under it as well. But at least it's going to give you a bit of an idea. Even if you start with, okay, the black, I know I can put that in recycling, or the bin is the bin. But then also that brings awareness as well. So when you're buying products, you might start to look and go, oh, this isn't actually recyclable. What can I do to change, or do I actually need that product, or how can I buy that product without having to package it? Now, the thing that always, and if someone's doing it here, we'll maybe change it, but it baffles me every time I go to a supermarket that they have a bunch of bananas and they put it in a plastic bag, one of those little plastic pouches, or mandarins when they're already covered and they're putting them in a plastic bag. So that could just be a change if anyone is doing that as well. I'll just pop that link in the chat so you've got it. But yeah, just a few little tips and tricks. If we all do our little part, it all makes a huge difference. So just with those little bits and pieces, and your cans and bottles, as you can see, it's more than just recycling. It can literally save lives if you're helping out these charities. So get behind these guys that are doing amazing things in these charities. They're doing it generally because they love it, and they're doing it because they want to make a difference and they want to help. They don't get much out of it, so it's getting behind and supporting these guys, and this is just a brilliant way of doing that as well. So it's a win-win for all. So yeah, thanks guys for coming tonight, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.